Hi, my name is Daryl. I'm going to reflect on this course so far. Thinking back to the first day of this course, I thought it would be more like a first year seminar where the goal was to teach you life lessons and things like that. As a non-traditional student married with children, I didn't think this would have anything to offer me, but boy was I wrong. This topic was extremely interesting and also was very relevant to me as a person. The things that I've learned in this course can apply to my life as a whole. And so it turned out to be very interesting to see the process of leadership from a more scholarly perspective instead of just a general, like, oh, this person is a great leader because, they take charge, things like that, to go to a point where I can say this person is a great leader because they exhibit the traits of a leader: intelligence, determination, self-confidence, things of that nature. This course was also helpful to me because it increased self-confidence, because that is one of the traits, of a leader. And as I move on through my career, I eventually want to move into a position of leadership, and it gives me the information and things that I would need to work on to be a better leader. What challenged me in the course was coming up with thoughtful responses to my classmates' questions in the discussion. And the discussion format was really interesting because not only did I have to come up with a response initially, but then I had to monitor the discussion board to respond to my classmates. And that was really fun, just to see everyone's unique perspective on leadership. Another thing that resonated with me is how a lot of these styles relate to parenting. I have three children, two under the age of 9, and a lot of these traits make me think about ways that I could be a better leader through parenting and then apply that to my life overall. So that was really interesting. And I also started thinking more about taking leadership roles at work. As I mentioned before, one of the traits there is self-confidence. And I need to work on that more so that I can be a better leader and, grow overall. So the 4 concepts that stood out to me: the first one was situational leadership. I mentioned that one before. This one was one of my favorite ones because it's the most flexible form of leadership. And in the book also stated one of the strengths of this form is that it's prescriptive. It tells you exactly what to do to be a good leader, while the other ones describe what makes a good leader with traits, skills, etc. This approach actually tells you what you can do. If you have this type of follower, you need to be this type of leader. And they have the different types of leader, coaching and etc., hands off, things like that, and also how that situational leadership applies in the world we live in today is Donald Trump. During the primaries, his rhetoric was more, if you want to say, more xenophobic. And as he moved along on his campaign, the situation changed. So then his leadership style changed to be more centered, as opposed to, talking about segregation. He started talking about how we all need to come together as a people, and because the situation changed, so his leadership changed. And I think that's a great example of how the things that we've learned in this course apply to our everyday life. The next concept is servant leadership. Servant leadership to me relates a lot to being a parent, and as the book stated, is focused a lot on altruism, where you put the followers first, as opposed to other leadership styles where it's more leadership focused. This one, say, it's kind of it's kind of like a conundrum. So how can you be a good leader by not leading by essentially following your followers. So, and relate that to parenting, because when you have children, you put them first in all situations. And also, another interesting thing about servant leadership is, as a leader, you have great influence, and a lot of leadership is utilizing your influence. But servant leaders, they tend to not, I guess they're prescribed not to use influence as dominance. They try to share control with their followers and, move them along without saying, without forcing them to do things. That's another great concept. I guess if we had to apply that to the world today, I would say, like pastors and ministers, they're servant leaders because, the congregation as a whole, they prescribe things for you to do, but they don't say, you need to do this, you need to do that. So the next one is traits. I find the trait approach very interesting because it breaks down into easy to digest chunks like, confidence. And that goes along with my leadership paper. One of my leaders is Amber, and she mentioned that, self-confidence is part of her skill set because, she stated as a woman, oftentimes she goes into meetings and she notices that she doesn't get enough respect, so she uses her self-confidence to overcome that. And, intelligence is another one of the traits that's very important to come up with interesting solutions to problems, determination, never giving up, and sociability is getting along with people. Overall, great traits that you need to be a leader. And the final concept is the role of gender in leadership. As I mentioned before, my boss, Amber, stated that, she doesn't get enough respect. And while reading this chapter, it was interesting to find out that the majority of all college degrees and almost half of the workforce are women. But unfortunately, they reached that, glass ceiling where most of the leaders are men, even though most of the, women have most of the skills and they get most of the degrees, and just women are, stuck and underrepresented in leadership. And then that also goes back to like the trait theory, which is based on, male traits for leadership. Like women aren't included in that. And it's a sad state of affairs. And as a father and a feminist, it's hard to come to grips with things like that because as I go through my life, I believe that there's change, but then you read the stories and you see that change is not coming as quickly as once thought, but there's always hope. And just going through this course has just showed me that at least gain more skills, and as situation changes, maybe this won't be an issue. Maybe once my daughters get into college and they take a leadership course, they won't have to discuss gender as a factor. That'll just be a non-issue. And as I've stated before, this course has been relevant to me because my ultimate goal is to become a leader, start my own business. So, and when I have to choose my leadership role, it would be that of a situational leader because it'll be just based on my followers. And this course has given me a path to success. So I really do appreciate that. And it also has allowed me to understand my boss, where he's coming from as a servant leader. I could understand the things that he does through the guise of altruism, and just seeing and understanding the challenges that he faces with his style of leadership, and I try to do my best to not cause any, quote unquote issues for him. And it's just helped me to understand a little bit more, and also to be able to take on more roles in leadership myself, because I could evaluate the followers that I happen to be in charge of through the lens of leadership. So overall, this course has been extremely interesting. Thank you, fellow classmates, for your unique perspectives, and you have a great day.